In case you don't know, all the recordings I do are long form and I never pause. And I thought, let me just pause it, make sure I'm on the right handout. And I just chopped off my recording. So this is going to be in two parts. So let me do a screen share. This is what threw me off. So you've got the video, which is the videos, right? I'm going to update that. And then you've got the brainstorming document. And that's this one here where there's the different ideas, okay? And then, of course, there's this one right here, which is the past student examples. And I've got a draw reason. What is the deal? Okay, so this one, see how Soraya is, and she's like the only student whose name I ever left. She's like, I want to leave my name on there. I'm like, okay, you go, girl. So she's got the biography section. She's got the overcoming obstacles section. She's got the tribute section, and she's following the template to a T. So make sure that you follow those templates when you go through there. And there's a couple of examples that you can take a look at. Then I've got a real world playlist, and then there's the point value deductions. And this is a little document that I can use to grade you, and I can check this off and so forth and go through here. And what I actually do is I took this information and I also put it at the bottom here. So for the point value deductions, make sure that this is not a policy speech where you're asking us for or against something that's a form of public policy, like what y'all are doing right now with your team speech. Make sure it's in the occasion of a ceremonial, or what we call an epidiptic. It's that sort of vibe where you're really paying tribute to an individual or a monument, an institution, that sort of thing. Speech, or that this, once again, it's 5 points under or over. If you know you're going to go overtime, just let me know and I'll work with you. As you guys know, the language of the speech, this should not be a speech you just throw together. Should be a speech where you're really thinking about what kind of metaphors or similes can I use? How do I tell that vivid story about my grandmother? How do I really paint the picture of her struggles so it's inspirational to my audience? So make sure you're carefully crafting and selecting the language that you use. This is really important. Sometimes I have individuals who will just throw together a speech the day before or that morning, because they look at it and they go, oh, this is a short time speech. I can just like throw this together. And it's abundantly clear to the audience, because the ones who are really rolling up their sleeves, working on your life, they're like, wow, I really want to meet your grandmother, or wow, that was a super cool speech of acceptance. And what I've noticed is a lot of they're done. This is, everybody is going to be ready on Monday. And if you're not ready, I'm going to deduct 5 points, because it's not fair. And here's the thing. If people wait till the last day of class and we run out of time, if you haven't given that speech under the same circumstances as your colleagues, which means that everybody in your class is there to hear your speech, there's no makeup. It's like, there's no make. So think, I better make sure I do my speech in case there's an emergency. And what's going to happen is the ones who went on the last day of that first speech, those are the ones I'm going to call on, because the assumption is by now you've changed your workflow and you've now discovered, I can't wait till the very last day to write a speech. And it's not fair to the ones who've been consistently cranking out their work. And so what an inaugural, literally label that or preview. Remember, you had it like underline and bold, and then you kind of gave your what your attention getter was. Same thing for this. Notice there's not an introduction here where it says attention getter, credibility, statement of, motivate audience to listen in your preview. And I will know if you've read this prompt and if you've watched this video, if you turn in a speech with introduction, attention getter, credibility statement, motivate audience to listen, also pointer, pointing, and preview, and then you throw in 3 main points, I will know immediately that you have not reviewed this video. And keep in mind, the last day of class is when we're giving these earn least, if you want, on Thursday, on what, tomorrow, on Tuesday, before we shut down for Thanksgiving, and show me your speech. The other thing is make sure that you have at least one source citation. Every speech we've given in this class, we've had 3 sources. This one, it's only one. And remember, you're going to want to have the word quote in bold, quote marks, then end quote marks, and then have the word end quote. And then make sure also that you've got a works cited list, not a list of links. This should be like a manuscript format outline. It's a manuscript because you're really writing out more, but I believe that the brain really likes those bullets. That is just time people get lost. Minus 10 points. This is the speech where I will be deducting a letter grade if you're reading. We've had our first speech was our speech of introduction. It was a self-concept collage. And then you had your informative, and now you've had your persuasive. And now this is the closing speech. And there is no reason that a student should just read that speech. So, basically, we're not going to do a sign-up sheet. We're going to all be ready on that first day. This is the only caveat on this one, and that is because I really need to make sure that everybody is ready to go. The other thing is, well, this is kind of ignore this. This would be more for a long semester, but this is a fast and furious semester, so we're all going to be ready on November 27th. And in sum, if you're one of the individuals who's been speaking on those last days, you will be one of the first people that we call on if there are no volunteers. I've already got lots of people, but please do not think I can wait until this day because there's a bunch of other people going. Theoretically, we could knock this out in 2 days. And the other thing I want to talk about here are the time limits. This is a 4 to 5 minute speech. You know the ground rules as far as 30 seconds under time or overtime. It's a minus 5 point deduction. If you feel like you need a little bit more time than 5 minutes, just let me know, and I'm always happy to give a student more time if they feel like they need it. But you really don't want to go over 6 minutes. These are traditionally very short speeches. And the reason why is because you're really in fact, time it came out, it was the last lecture, and the professor, it's this groundbreaking type of speech where the teacher, he gave his last lecture, and I think he had some health problems. I don't remember the whole backstory, but what I do remember is everyone kept talking about the last lecture, last lecture. I'm like, I gotta watch this. Well, I watched it and I didn't get through it because the person introducing him went on and on and on and on. I thought, sir, I really want to watch the last lecture, not your whole pontification of your colleague. And he really wasn't building up his colleague. It was just, it just wasn't working for me, and I never got through with the last lecture speech. So I'll have to go back and watch that someday. You may use a visual aid, but you're really not required. The requirement was for your informative speech. And if for some reason there was a log speech and every individual colleague class, that's going to impact your grade. Now remember, the language and the tone is very important. So in other words, you want to make sure the content and the language and the delivery style is reflective of the occasion. So if it's a serious funeral, then make it serious. But if grandma was, I don't know, a lumberjack, I'm just throwing, that's just improv, right? And she was a woodsman, right? You may want to make it a little bit more lighthearted, or she was a biker grandma, right? You're going to make it a little bit more lighthearted than maybe if she was a CEO of a corporation. The person should real world situation not going to make you look good. If it's a wedding toast, you can have jocularity, obviously, but you really want to make sure you don't offend the audience members in that group. Or if it's a serious corporate type of event where you're winning an award, you really want to make sure that acceptance speech is congruent with the work culture of that corporate organization. And then also, of course, the audience sentiments, because you're celebrating the audience, the occasion, an event, or the person that is the target of your speech. For instance, if you're presenting this prestigious award at a formal award ceremony or commemorating a solemn occasion, use formal style of language and a serious tone of voice. However, if you're using an anniversary speech with close friends at a small dinner or a testimonial on behalf of a gregarious friend, then have at it. Use informal language, and you can have a more sentimental or whimsical tone if you'd like. Determine whether your speech should create a festive mood or if you want to convey respect of the honorary's accomplishments. You always want to call our attention to the organization or the individual or the occasion and what that means. Building, building, and that was like the whole town was like, like whoa. So, or humor, use of appeals, make sure that the style of your language and the appeal that you're using are congruent with the occasion, the speaker, or the honorary, who you're speaking about, and the event. Unify your audience around emotions and sentiments that y'all all commonly share. Sometimes this may be the company mission, it could be the values of the organization, or even common sentiments of a family, that sort of thing. Describe the enthusiasm or disappointment, the camaraderie felt by the people who have worked together on behalf of a cause, an organization, or an event, so that they and others can re-experience those feelings through the speech. So this is an emotional speech. This is not really one like the other ones we've been giving. You're really working on the ethos or the pathos, the emotional appeal of the audience. Provide specific references of the characteristics and contributions of the honorary. Tell us of a story. Tell us their virtues. Tell us their personality traits, their quirky parts, what their favorite food was, or maybe a favorite phrase. Do not generally state the honorary has a good character and many achievements. Rather, cite examples of the honorary's virtues and accomplishments so that your audience recognizes her or his unique qualities and contributions. Identify a relatively unknown achievement. It's like that student who told me about his grandfather. He never knew all that about his grandfather, right? So tell us that. Balance your adulation of the honorees, professional compliments, and personal achievements. So these are some organizational patterns. A buddy of mine who's another professor, excuse me, I bought some new laundry detergent and I always get unscented. And I thought, ooh, that eucalyptus lavender smells good. And man, it's actually making me wheeze and making me break out. I'm gonna have to leave a Amazon review on that one. Man, that's the last time I usually never buy scented stuff, but they got me with the lavender. I can't even smell the lavender. It smells like Fabuloso. I'm gonna have to like rewash all my clothes. So anyway, I'm having a hard time breathing. Okay, so here's the shebang. You're gonna follow this organizational pattern to the T. And you're going to label each section. So these are all your different options. So you can just kind of go through here. And then if you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to update these links for you. And I would encourage you to watch some of these playlists, this playlist I have here for you. So that's really all. And got our last exam. So, and there's going to be a caveat on that, but I want to make sure that we get through all that material. So there is no time for us to push back the schedule. Okay, thanks for watching my video.